You mean to tell me this episode is sponsored by Squarespace again? Really, Bill?
I need some dwarves. I know I've got some somewhere. I need dwarves for the video. Dwarves. Huh? You can help? Little people. Well, yeah, but dwarves, you know, like fantasy dwarves. I need fantasy dwarves, really. You know, you can help me. Fantasy dwarves. That's what I need, fantasy dwarves. Just call this number. You know, give it a go. Yeah, that's not really what I meant. I meant miniatures, dwarf miniatures. You can keep that. Dwarf miniatures. I need dwarf miniatures. Hello everyone, welcome to episode 88, I'm going to say. But now I'm starting to think it's probably 89. Today we're going to be kitbashing Space Dwarfs. Now I've been kitbashing a lot of like little factions for my game, my upcoming game recently. This will be the last faction I'm doing before we move on to the next step, which will be playing the game and probably more terrain and other things. There's lots of things to do, but I'm going to film it anyway and make you watch it. Obviously I can't make you watch it, I'm just going to make you watch it by adding lots of colours in there, snappy sound effects and weird transitions and edits and strange narration. I mean, that's how I usually get you to watch it, so, you know, I can't make you watch it. Or can I? I've always loved dwarves, you know, from Tolkien-esque dwarves to fantasy dwarves to space dwarves. There's something about dwarves I just really, really like. I don't need your number, thanks, cheers. When I was younger, I was a big fan of GW's 40,000K dwarves, the ones that begin with S and ends with what's going on. You know, those guys, yeah. I really love the fact that they were like basically a dwarf motorcycle gang in space. I found that interesting. Firstly, I wanted miners in my game, which obviously dwarves tend to mine. And I wanted like a greedy kind of enterprising faction that could, you know, be the greedy enterprising faction in the game. Not the bad guys, just the ones that care more about profit than killing each other. That's kind of what I wanted. And dwarves are always considered that kind of greedy race, you know, in every kind of fantasy novel, every sci-fi novel, just basically anything ever written. And of course, you know, they have short legs and big bushy beards, which is always fun. And I always quite like painting dwarves because there's just less to paint. But that's enough of that. Let's get on with the video. Let's get kitbashing. I thought he was going to like jiggle, move around. So let's draw some dwarves, small people. I think we can call them dwarves in a fantasy setting, right? Because, you know, Tolkien, you know, he calls them dwarves. And Warhammer still have dwarves. I'm going to call them dwarves. You can call them small people if you like. They don't exist. They're in my head. So I guess I can call them whatever I like. Just don't watch Rings of Power. That's all I'm really getting at. Just don't watch Rings of Power. That's not Tolkien. I don't know what that is. Today we are going to be making the Big Red Mining Company, which are basically a big company of dwarves that wear red and they mine on the gutterlands. They like to mine for ancient tech and old tech and all sorts of goodies. And I want them to look like prospectors, like old cowboy prospectors, you know, like with little cowboy hats, cigars, you know, dusty, armor plating here and there, and obviously pickaxes and picks and shovels and just all that kind of mining stuff. I want them to look very rustic. So So design wise, I want them all to have like little goggles on, like they don't like the sunlight, they spend a lot of time underground, and their home planet is pretty dark, and little pipes maybe, and I don't know, I'm thinking maybe a drill, like pneumatic drill arm for one of them, probably the captain. Now, of course, Space Dwarfs are not an original concept. There's been lots of Space Dwarfs in other things like Deep Rock Galactic and, you know, obviously Squats and the new dwarves that Warhammer has that are basically just like short space marines. I can't remember what they're called. But I really wanted some dwarves in the Gutterlands. I just like the visuals of dwarves. I like dwarves. They're like a cool little army to collect. I just wanted some Space Dwarfs, all right? Is that all right with you? Now, the Big Red Mining Company, now that name might sound a bit strange, but to me it was like a reference to Red Dwarf, which was an old comedy show back in the 80s, like a sci-fi comedy that I loved growing up. To be honest with you, I love it so much, if I was dying on my deathbed, not my normal bed, my deathbed, which I have in the other room, I would be watching Red Dwarf non-stop, I think that's kind of, and playing Final Fantasy VII on like a little console. I think they're the two things I'll be doing on my deathbed, just in case you're interested. Or just in case I can't actually communicate that on my deathbed, one of you lot can come round and say, look, here, give him Final Fantasy and put Red Dwarf on. So as far as the design's going to be, I mean, they're basically just prospectors, really short prospectors with the odd sci-fi bit attached to them. Lots of pickaxes, lots of shovels. I like the guns to be like maybe muskets with big muzzle brakes on them. You know, those big muzzle brake things that, like, you know, Optimus Prime has them on these little pipes with the holes in, you know. Those things, yeah. I basically want them to look like the old Squats. The old Squats, you know, not the new ones, the old ones used to look like a little biker gang, which I really loved. I kind of want to go for that look, you know, not like the new Voltan. That's what they're called, Voltan. They're basically just like little squished space marines. I think what I'm saying is, like, you know, to look cool, you don't have to look dangerous. I think that's kind of what I'm trying to do here. You know, they look cool. They look cool with hats and glasses, and they don't look particularly dangerous. But, you know, you'd want to drink with them, wouldn't you? You know, you'd have a little drink with them down the King's End Inn. Anyway, that's kind of my little design. And do you know what? I think this is the last page in my book. Oh, it is. So I've actually finished this sketchbook, which means I'm probably going to try and print out copies of it. This page here, I'm thinking I might put all my patrons' names on, you know, for a live stream. If you want that, come along to the live stream. I don't know when it'll be. It'll probably be just after I release this video. But there we go. Sketchbook number 2 finished. Let's actually build some little space dwarves. Shall we? So this video is sponsored by Squarespace. Now, Squarespace is a website where you go to make websites. Now, if you have no idea how to make a website, you don't know how to do with a HTML, is it HTML? I'm not sure. And you just want to make a website about things like, you know, like a pickle website, for example. Like, yeah, like that, like Pickle Perfection. That's it, Bill. Click there. If you just want to make a website that's quick and easy and clean and nicely designed, then go to Squarespace. I made this website in, like, you know, it must have been like 0.5 seconds. Maybe a little bit longer, I'm not sure, but it was really easy and it looks pretty good. And I will add stuff to it at some point. But yeah, if you want to make your own website, there's a sale going on at Squarespace. There's a little link down below. Go and have a look. So believe it or not, I don't really have a lot of dwarf miniatures to cut up for this project. I do need some, and I asked my patrons to send me some, and kindly they sent me this little bunch here, which I'm going to use some of, and some I'm probably just going to keep for the Warhammer collection, because I think you can tell which one. But yeah, some we're going to cut up, like these little pirate cowboy dwarf dudes. Like they look pretty much how I want my dwarves to look anyway. And I have these 2 little dwarf bodies that we need to find arms and legs for. I don't really like the armor, but we can work with that. You know, we can figure that out. So let's find a head we can use. I do get lots of questions whenever I do a kit bashing episode of like, where do you get all your bits from? I mean, it's basically a lot of my bits came from these Stargrave miniature sets that they did. You got like lots of miniatures in there, and they just went straight in my bits box. But I do get sent lots of things from people. So I guess my answer is start a YouTube channel and have people send you bits. Or you could buy the Stargrave box sets. They're pretty good. So I'll keep one of these bodies with the armour plating on, and I think I'm going to put this little kind of red dwarfish officer uniform torso on this one. You know, I'll make it work. There There we go. He's even got like a little rimmer hat. As for arms, I got lots of arms. Lots of arms have weapons attached, and I'm thinking like I got lots of little robotic arms. I quite like the idea of these miners having little, you know, limb replacements. They would probably lose a limb or two, you know, mining in big rusty hills and things like that. So I'm gonna give this guy a little robotic arm. For the other arm, I'm going to stick a weapon in there, but I found lots of arms with little kind of briefcases. I don't know if they're briefcases or ammo cases, probably more like ammo cases, but it looks like a guy trying to give a bag back to someone who dropped it in the street. Excuse me! Now these little pirate dwarf guys come with little muskets. Now I'm going to convert these muskets into a bit more of a sci-fi version of a musket and give it to him. I mean, I've taken an arm off that guy. I'm probably going to have to replace the arm with something. It's just going to be circular. I'm going to take the gun off one guy, give it to another guy, and then realise the last guy doesn't have a gun. But we'll figure that out later. Now obviously these dwarves are hoarders. They like to hoard technology. I'm going to stick tons and tons of backpacks and satchels and things. I want them to be carrying lots of stuff. You know, they like to carry their stuff around with them. So digging around my bits box, I was very lucky to find at the very bottom this shovel and this spanner. Now I'm going to hang these on the back. I want lots of little tools. I need pickaxes, that's the main thing I need. I might have to make my own, but we'll see. We'll get to that bit later. There he is, that's the first guy. So my next one, I really wanted to make a female dwarf. Just at least one female dwarf in this company of dwarves, but I could not find a female dwarf head anywhere. They all just, I know female dwarves can have beards, but you're going to see a dwarf face with a beard, you're going to think that's a little guy with a beard, but I couldn't find any, so it's going to have to be another male dwarf with a beard. Now, I definitely want this guy to be holding a pickaxe. All I could find was his AK-47, which would do for now. It's not quite got the range of a pickaxe, but we do need a pickaxe, and we need to stick a little pick on the end of that. So the closest thing I could find was a toothpick, like a dental floss toothpick thing that I've never used because I'm British, but you know, I'm going to use it here to make a pickaxe. Now this is an old cake pop stick, which I tend to use quite a lot on this channel. It's quite good plastic, and I'm sure there's a joke about using a toothpick as a pickaxe. There probably is a joke, I just can't think of one because I'm not very funny. These are my 2mm hemispherical beads. I love these things. I use these things for bolts, for everything. Actually, talking of sense of humour, I did receive a comment on one of my videos the other day saying, you know, your sense of humour has become monotonous. You need to change it up, change your sense of humour, you know, get your mojo back. I'm like, have you ever seen this channel before? It's always been monotonous. Also, change your sense of humour. How can you change your sense of humour? That's your sense of humour, you know. If your sense of humour doesn't align with mine, then go somewhere else. Like, sorry for the rant, but it's just like some comments just need commenting on. Anyway, leave a comment down below if you're enjoying the video. So just as I finished my rant about that comment, I've received a little package in the post, and this is sent from one of my patrons, and it's a load of, I think they're like Voltan bits, but they happen to have a little female dwarf. I mean, I assume that's female. It looks kind of feminine, sort of, for a dwarf. We're going to replace the head on that guy with that one. So now we have ourselves a female dwarf. There you go, I'm woke as f***. So down with the patriarchy. Get out of here, little man face. There you go. Yeah, get out of here. We'll probably use you later. And we put a little feminine face on there, because now we have a female dwarf. Now, because it's a female dwarf, I'm going to make her a nice little scarf. Just a nice little silk scarf to go around. No, honestly, there's a big gap between the neck and the body that I need to fill with green stuff, which will be a scarf, but not because she's female, just because I couldn't think of anything else to fill that little space with. Honestly, it's not a scarf, it's like a little sweat rag. There we go. Female dwarf. Now this little dwarf pirate guy has a trench coat, a cowboy hat and a cigar, so obviously he's going to be the leader of our little troop. But I want to make him like a robotic drill arm. I thought that'd be quite cool. So we're going to use this old felt tip pen. A little bit of scratch bashing here. Now I was desperately looking for one of my little plastic screws that I've got somewhere, but I couldn't find one, so I've actually just got to use a real metallic screw, which was really hard to cut, but you know, it's the right size, and that looks alright. Let's just greebly that thing up, you know, as Greg Greebly always says, greeble it up, will you? So there we go, that's a pretty fancy little drill arm. I'm quite happy with that. Now his gun is just a bit too small. He uses it well, but it's just a bit small. We need to make his gun an old tech gun. Now in my game of SKIRM, which these characters are for, which is my upcoming tabletop game, all the captains have special weapons. They have old tech weapons, which is like really advanced, dangerous weapons. So I thought if I had a few sci-fi bits to it, extend it a little bit, and he looks a little bit more dangerous now, and we know he's the captain. Plus he's got a really nice pickaxe on the back. But there we go. Hello again. It's me again, Bill again. It's me, hello. You alright? I'm just interrupting the video for your standard call to action bit in a video where we ask you to like the video, comment, subscribe, click that little bell notification, or join Patreon, which helps support the channel, keeps it going. And also I really wanted to talk about the state of the crafting sphere on YouTube at the moment. I watch a lot of YouTube, especially crafting videos. I watch a lot of crafters, you know, name a YouTube crafter, I'll probably watch them regularly. Being a YouTuber, and not competitive in the slightest, I tend to look at their view numbers and see how well they've done. And the views have gone way down on everyone's crafting video. Like, or everyone's videos have got, the views have gone way down. And I just wanted to start a little discussion in the comments, like, why is the crafting sphere not doing so good anymore? Is it because of COVID? But that kind of ended a while ago, so maybe not that. Have you got friends now? Have you found a girlfriend or a boyfriend or anything in between? Have you joined a charity and you're out there on the streets handing out leaflets? I don't know. I'm just genuinely curious why the views have gone down. Obviously people have to make up with that by doing clickbaity thumbnails. Now I'm not going to do that. I'm never going to do that. That's just, it makes me feel physically sick to do it. But there are channels I can understand they have to do it. You know, like thumbnails that have like someone's big face taking up half the thumbnail with a big tear and pixelated miniature to the side, and a title saying, "You would not believe what this miniature did to my mum." Things like that. You know, I'm not going to resort to it, but I can understand why a lot of people do, because it's getting to that point where they need to get those clicks. I'm always of the belief that if you make decent videos, they're going to come anyway. Like you, lovely people. Why do I never look sincere when I try and compliment people? But anyway, I just find that stuff interesting. I'm just curious as to what you think about that. I don't want to start making clickbaity thumbnails. You know, if there's something in my thumbnail, you're going to see it in the video. If there's something in the title, you're going to see it in the video. Like that's the way I like to work. But let me know. Let me know what you think. I don't really know where I'm going with this. This was a call to action section of the video, but I'm just genuinely interested in what you lot think about it. So please let me know down below. This isn't a trick to get you to get the interactions on my channel, to get more people watching it. It's not a trick at all. No, genuinely, I'm interested in what you're thinking. Why can I never sound sincere? Anyway, back to the build. Time to make some muzzle brakes or muzzle guards. I don't know what they're called. I'm going to just quickly Google it. 1 second. Actually took a bit of searching. I think they're called like exhaust mufflers. I just kept looking for exhaust pipes with holes in them, and it just kept showing me dangerous exhaust that were leaking poisonous gas into cars. So, you know, maybe don't make holes in your exhaust pipe. Anyway, we're going to make exhaust mufflers to make these guns just look more sci-fi. I don't know what purpose they serve. To look cool. That's enough. Cool. Yep, I mean that looks better. So this guy, I'm not really sure what to do with this guy. I could already see his beard as a big ginger beard. He's got to have a big ginger beard. That's all I know about him so far. I did find this little pickaxe with a hand attached, which is always quite handy. I'm going to try and make it look like it's resting over his shoulder. No, but it's quite hard to do that on a dwarf, so he's kind of resting on the tip of his head. But that's fine. It looks pretty good. So I'm going to replace the gun on this guy. I'm going to use like an AK-47 looking. I don't know why. AKs look really rustic to me. They're not really, but they look rustic in the far future. Now these AKs, if you're wondering where you get these from, these are from the Scavenger set of miniatures for Stargrave. If you were to get any box set of those, get the Scavenger ones. They're the best. So this guy has a cloak on. He looks a little bit like a little Red Riding Hood. You will do when I paint him. But I want to add a big giant clip on the bottom of this gun. This gun's like looks like a little hand cannon. But I want it to look a little bit more futuristic, so stick a little clip on there. And a little robotic cybernetic eye, I think. Use a little bit of a sprue and one of those 2mm hemispherical beads. Now I'll make that look a lot easier than it actually was. But it looks alright. That's all you need to know. And we're going to base them on bases. Now these are 25mm bases, I believe, which is what the standard is for SKIRM, which, if I didn't tell you already, is my game coming out soon. And there we go. There's my kitbashed dwarf troop, my space dwarves, my big red mining company. Let's paint them. So here we are, here are my squad of Space Dwarves, or the Big Red Mining Company. I'm going to paint this guy first, the captain, or the boss, as we like to call it. We call them the boss in SKIRM. Now I'm going to use these Pro Acryl paints because they were sent to me and they're really good. But that's enough of that. As we all know, paint time with Bill is boring time with Bill, and boring time with Bill is story time with Bill. So this is the part of the video where I'll tell you a little story, or I'll tell you a little bit of lore about the thing that I've built and the thing that I'm painting right in front of your eyeballs. That thing. Him, right there. So here goes. So the Big Red Mining Company is a company of miners that happen to all come from one planet called Vermilion. Vermilion is a planet that's really red and has a very kind of strong gravitational pull. Everyone on that planet are short, short, stocky. It's not like Earth's gravity. They're kind of, they're dwarves. I'm gonna say it, they're dwarves. Basically a planet of dwarves, and they like mining. More to the point, they like profit. They like to make profit, and mining isn't really, the planet is pretty much mined to death, and business has been slow ever since the universe has been in intergalactic peace. There's no more weapons being made. They don't need nuclear materials or anything like that. It's just a really peaceful galaxy. So a company of dwarves heard about Gutterlands and thought, well, we could go there and we can mine that place. I'm sure we can make some money from some things that we can dig up there. So they did. Now the Big Red were latecomers really to the Gutterlands. There was already the colonials there, and the Rusters have been there, for a very long time, and the Deep Troops and lots of other people have lived there for a long time, having adventures and just generally shooting each other. But the Big Red came late, but they came in strength. They had the resources. They were an organisation, so no one could really tell them not to come. Now you may be wondering, why would they be digging up old tech, old weapons, old machinery if there's no war? Well, the thing is, there are components in those things. In old tech there are some very rare components that when you dismantle the weapon, you can sell those components separately. That's what they're going to do. They're basically going to dig up all these old ancient machines of war, dismantle them and sell them off as parts. Now the people of Gutterlands don't like this. They go to the Gutterlands for fun and excitement and adventure, and they want these weapons. They want all this old tech, this horrible stuff. That's what they're there for. So a lot of people don't really like the Big Red Mining Company because they tend to get to all the good stuff before anyone else does. But that's not to say that they don't sell the colonials the odd weapon once in a while, the odd robot part, things like that. They do like to make a little bit of profit on the side, as long as the big company doesn't find out. Now early on, when they landed on the planet, they immediately head up north towards the Rusty Peaks. They landed in Respite, which is the safest place to land on the planet. They head up north, digging trenches and mines all along the way, kind of just basically disrupting the whole ecosystem of the place. They're basically annoying the Rusters. The Rusters weren't happy at all. So they would constantly be harassed by the Rusters. By harassed, I mean they would be raided, constantly murdered. But they had to fight back, and they could fight back. They had the resources, they had the technology from their home planet, so they could fight back. But it's kind of a nuisance. It kind of, it interrupted business. At one point, the full Ruster army tried to face off the Big Red in a field. Well, I won't go too much into that story because that might come up in the future, or it might be a little story within the SKIRM book, so I don't want to ruin it. But yeah, I mean, that was a catastrophe. But back to present day, you can't really dig anywhere in the Gutterlands without finding a little red dwarf poke his head up through the hole and say, you know, sod off. The dwarves are everywhere. They're basically the main business operating in the Gutterlands. They do sell weapons to Respite, and if you do need a weapon and you have the right amount of money or credits, you can buy it from them. Or if you have something decent in trade, like a better pickaxe. So the Big Red are doing pretty well. The Rusters absolutely hate them, and they will constantly harass them whenever they see them. I mean, there's not really a lot of big grudges on the Gutterlands. Everyone kind of kills everyone kind of equally. But if a Ruster sees a big red dwarf, they're going to go straight for him. Now you may be wondering also, why do they have pickaxes? If they're digging out old technology, surely they want to be delicate and they want to use like more advanced machinery, which they do. They have more advanced machinery for mining. The pickaxe is a symbolic thing. It's a thing that was passed down from their fathers' fathers, or from their fathers' mothers. Basically, it's just the symbol of their family. They keep the pickaxe on them at all times, and they often use them to bash people over the head because, you know, they're pretty good at doing that. Now, if you were to encounter a dwarf on your travels in the Gutterlands, they wouldn't particularly be aggressive towards you. They would see profit over aggression. They want to make money off you. They would try and sell you something, or they would keep you away from their mine and their profit. So they're not particularly nasty. They're just really greedy, like really, really greedy. And there you go. That's the Big Red Mining Company. There we go. Big Red Mining Company dwarves. Usually I would pick one up and say, oh, look. I really like this, but I forgot they're in the other room. But you're going to see them in a second in the glamour shots, so you're all right. And I'm really happy with them. Obviously, big Red Dwarf references there, because I just love Red Dwarf. I just love it. So I kitbashed the 4 factions for my game. So if you watch my Bangarang series or the Tonk series that I did, basically I make one from each faction. And then we have a big game at the end where I do like a battle report with animations and all sorts of stuff that takes lots and lots of my time. And that's what I'm going to do this time for SKIRM. Obviously SKIRM isn't out yet. It will be out soon. I'm just trying to add so much stuff into it. Like, I want it to just be fun to pick up even if you're not going to play the game. That's kind of my intention. But you don't need to worry about that. I'm sure there'll be a Bill's Bits episode soon where I can talk about that stuff. But for now, I hope you enjoyed the video. And don't forget, comment down below. Why are the views going down? Are you all starting to get social lives? I mean, sort it out. But that's it. Glamour shots coming up. See you next time. Why do you have a number for that? Why? So there we go, the Big Red Mining Company. What do you think? Do you like them? Do you like the small people? If not, please let me know why in the comments. You know, should really look into that. But this is the Big Red Mining Company. I'm really happy with them. I think they look pretty cool. I just like dwarves, in particular space dwarves. So this is the 4th faction in my rule book for the game SKIRM. We've got the Colonials, we've got the Deep Troops, we've got the Rusters, and we've got the Big Red Company. I've made all 4 of them now on a video. So the next stage would be to maybe make a few more bits of terrain, maybe some Ruster encampments, things like that, and eventually play a demo game for you on the channel, which will be quite fun and chaotic. I might get Theo down from Slimehouse TV to play that with me. But that's another episode done. There'll be another episode along soon, maybe a Bill's Bits. I just really want to thank the patrons that keep this channel going. Now, if you enjoy watching stuff like this, consider being a patron. It's the only way these channels survive, and not just my channel, every other channel you like.